Hi there, Peter Rising here. Welcome along to the channel once again. It's great to see you. In this video today, we are going to take a deeper look into Microsoft Purview eDiscovery Premium. Now, in our previous video in this series, we took you through how to get the relevant permissions that you need to get access to eDiscovery Premium and how to set up some of the core settings. We are going to get right into the nitty-gritty of things today on eDiscovery Premium by setting up a case. There's a lot to do in this one, so let's get into it. So we are back in the Microsoft Purview Compliance Center, and we are in eDiscovery Premium and into cases. And what we are going to do is click on Create a Case. This opens the case creation wizard, and the first thing we need to do is to give our case a name. So we'll type in a name in the name field here, and we need to give it a meaningful name. So in this instance, we are going to do an investigation relating to a marketing event, a marketing strategy update to be precise. So we will name this case Marketing Department Case. And we should always put in a meaningful description as well. So we'll type in this case is to retrieve information relating to the marketing strategy communication. And we can optionally put in a docket number here or some sort of numeric identifier. Just to demonstrate that, we will put in a simple value of 1, 2, 3, 4. As for the case format, we now have to choose the new case format. The older, I should say, case format, the classic case format, is now grayed out and is effectively deprecated. So we need to choose the new and recommended case format and click on Next. This takes us to the Members and Settings section of the wizard. We can now add team members and configure settings. And we can add team members to our case by either adding users or groups. So what we will do in this instance is we will add 2 users to the case. We will add myself, Peter Rising, and we will also add Rachel Green. Now I'm doing this specifically because I know that these will generate meaningful results to demonstrate to you. For search and analytics, as we scroll down, we have some settings that we can configure for reducing duplicates and link email threads. We have minimum and maximum word count settings that we can alter to manipulate the search results. We will leave these as the default settings for this particular example. We can also group items by theme and create a saved query whenever analytics is performed. I'm going to really leave this one more or less as the default settings. We can optionally put in some text that we want to ignore in our search or our collection, if you like. And if we were to do that, we can apply that text to be ignored to near duplicates, to email threads, or to themes. Again, just for simplicity, I'm not going to include this in this initial eDiscovery case that we are setting up, just to keep it simple for this one. You can also set some optical character recognition or OCR settings to find text within images during advanced indexing, and you can set this to a low accuracy which will produce the fastest speed results, or a higher accuracy, which will make the process a bit slower. And you can set the maximum image size that you want the case to work towards, and a timeout setting as well. We click on Next now, as that's all the settings we can input into members and settings. And here we can review our case, and if we wish to make any last minute changes, we can click on the pencil icons and go back and make some changes. I'm happy with this, so I'm going to click on Submit. Okay, your new case is ready. Excellent. So this takes us into our new case, and you can see a lot of tabs here, and we are taken into the Overview tab, and there's very little in here at the moment in the Overview tab. We can see our case format is in the new format, we can see some custodian details, and these terms will become clearer as we go through, and we can see a communication summary, but we've got 0 figures in there. Let's click on the Settings tab at the far right, and what I'm going to show you within here is just that you can go back on what you've just configured in the case creation wizard and make some changes if you want. In case information, you can click on Select to make some alterations to the case name, the case number, the case description. And you can actually even delete the case from here if you want to as well. So in earlier versions of eDiscovery Premium, it was not possible to set this information during the case creation process, as we have just done. You had to make changes within here. So now you have much better options. If we click on Actions, we can see here that we can copy the support information for the case. We can delete and close the case here if we want to as well. Let's click on Exit. Next, we can click Select on the Access and Permissions section here to see the members and role groups that we have for the case. And we can see immediately that this reflects the settings that we put in the case creation wizard, where I have myself and Rachel as users and no groups. On Search and Analytics here, if we click Select, we can manipulate settings again, such as near duplicates and email threading settings, and input some thresholds for these along with themes, and adjust the maximum number of themes dynamically. We can automatically create a query named for review after running analytics on a review set. We can set the minimum number of words, the maximum number of words, and we can click on Edit to ignore text if we want to put any ignore text in. This is, as per the case creation wizard, just another way of going back on yourself and making any changes. The same with OCR, optical character recognition. We can set the maximum image size here, and again, an illustration that the lower accuracy and higher accuracy settings are relevant. So we can save that if we've made any changes, which we haven't, and we can click on Exit. So useful to be able to go into those settings immediately if we've had a realization that we need to make some changes to what we put in during the case creation wizard process. The first thing we need to do when creating our case, though, when setting up our case, is to go into data sources. And here is where we are going to add some data sources, and there are 2 main types that we need to be aware of. So if we click on to add data source, we can see custodians, and we can add new custodians, or we can import custodians. We can also add data locations. Now, what we're going to do here is we're going to add some custodians. Now, a custodian is an individual who is associated with the case. So it's essentially a user within Office 365. And I'm going to add in the same custodians as I set as the members of this case, just to keep things nice and simple. So I'm going to add in myself, and it is going to apply my mailbox and OneDrive settings. And you can configure some additional settings for additional mailboxes, additional SharePoint locations as well for these custodians to associate other locations with a particular custodian. So for myself, I'm going to go in and I'm going to make a selection of a SharePoint site here. I'll select this MS-500 SharePoint site and I will add that to be associated to my user object as a custodian. We can also do that for Teams and Yammer as well, and Exchange. I'm going to add in a second custodian here. I'm going to add in Rachel Green. And it should find Rachel there. There we go. And if we scroll down, we can see Rachel is at the bottom beneath my user object, and we can expand her settings and see very much the same. We'll make no changes here to Rachel and leave those settings without any additional. And here we can see the hold settings when we click on next, and both of the custodians are automatically selected to be placed on hold as part of this case. We will leave that in place and click next. It's always a good idea to have your custodians set to be on hold. And the main reason for this is that if you have retention policies in your Microsoft 365, then if you don't have a hold in place, the content that you are searching for could conceivably be deleted as part of a retention policy. So now we've clicked on submit and done, and we have our first two data sources, which are custodian data sources in the data sources area. We're going to go in now and we're going to add another one. But first, let me just show you what the process of importing custodians looks like. Now, what you can do here is you can get detailed preparation guidance by clicking on the link there, and it's going to take you into the learn.microsoft.com article for this process. Now, you all know how much I love learn.microsoft.com, so always take a look at that. What you can do, though, is you can download a CSV template here, which will enable you to populate a CSV file with the details you need to import multiple custodians into your eDiscovery case. Now we can see here the format that the CSV file has, and we have appropriate settings within there. So there we go. That is the process. So you can upload your CSV file and then proceed in that way. We'll cancel that out because we're not going to do that. It's just to demonstrate that process. We are going to add further data locations though, non-custodial in this case, and we can select from SharePoint sites. We can choose an Exchange location, or we can choose M365 connected apps. I'll select a SharePoint location again here for the purposes of this demonstration case. And let's see, which one shall we select in this case? We shall go for, we'll select this Microgenesis 365 Directors site and click on Add. And there we have it. And again, it's going to place us on hold, and we will click on Add to add our non-custodial data location to the case. And there we are. We have all three added now, and all three will be placed on hold. We can see that the data location at the top is changes in progress at the moment on the hold setting. And if we click on the Jobs tab on the right next to Settings, we can see this in progress. We can see that we've applied holds already. That's for the custodial data sources, and now it's doing the same for the non-custodial data sources. And we can see that status as in progress. And if we click on Refresh, we can get that updated. If we actually click on the item, we can get some more details on what is happening there. We can see some support information on the job ID and the arguments and any errors. We can copy support information if we want to, and we'll just close out of that. But that's just to give you an idea of what you can do. Let's click on Refresh again. One of them is complete now on the non-custodial. The apply holds is complete on that, so we just have the reindex to do. Collections is where we will go to next to create a collection. And when we create a collection, we'll associate it with our data sources. So think of collections as searches. In fact, in earlier versions of eDiscovery Premium, they were called searches. And the first thing we need to do in our new collection is to add a name and description. So I'm going to call this one Marketing Investigation Collection. There we go. I'll tab down to, actually I'll put in what I'll do is I'll put tier 1 because it's useful to identify the collection with a tier number, because you might want to go back and do a second pass at it if you don't get all the results you want. I'll put in a description as well, collecting data related to marketing dash first pass. There we go, and let's click on next. Now here we can add our custodial data sources. There's two ways we can do this. We can go in and click on select custodians, and we can select them one by one, whichever ones we want to include, and add them there. Alternatively, we can just slide the select all bar to include all of our custodians into the case, which I'm going to do here, or into the collection I should say. And if we click next, we can do the same thing for our non-custodial data sources. In this example, I'll select the one that we have manually, and there it is, and we click on next. You can indeed at this point select even further additional locations to include Exchange mailboxes comprising Microsoft 365 groups, Teams and Yammer user messages, SharePoint sites that include OneDrive sites, Microsoft 365 group sites, team sites, and you can click on the Learn More to get further information about those collection contents and how they work. And you can also select Exchange public folders as well. Now as we scroll down, there are some additional search options here. We can look at the locations and the additional locations that can cause searches to take longer, such as searching guest mailboxes. You can see that one is grayed out, and shared Teams channels, which is selected. And then as we click on next, we move to the defining your collection conditions. And there are two ways we can do this. We can do it via the condition card builder by putting in a keyword. So I could put in marketing and then strategy. And as I hit enter, it separates those and it effectively converts those entries into KQL, keyword query language, and I can view the keyword list there as well. So that's the straightforward way of adding search criteria into your collection conditions. Now, if you want to get a bit more detailed with your search criteria, then KQL editor is the way to go. And there are a wide range of KQL queries that you can add in here. I'm going to paste in a simple one, which is going to search for my display name in an email and a subject of marketing strategy update. So I copied that from an earlier collection in another eDiscovery search. I'll backspace that out for a moment and I'll type that in. And as you can see, as I'm typing from, it's giving me suggestions. So this is very intuitive. And in the from, I can have that as equals, I can have it as contains, or I can have it as not equals. So it helps you to learn this KQL as you type in your criteria. So I can type in from, colon, and then I will type in my name, and it's going to suggest my email address here. So I can select my email address within this tenant, and it will actually, as I select that, it will put that in as the full email address in this instance. So you can see how easy that is to find what we need within the KQL editor. Very, very good. And I can also put in, well, what I'll do in actual fact is I'll backspace that out and I will put in the command that I actually want to run. But you can see if I go to a new line and put in the subject, just as another example, I get the same sort of criteria. I can do subject equals or contains and so on and so forth. But we'll keep this simple. We'll just keep in the pasted value of from Peter Rising, the subject of marketing strategy update. And you can see 0 errors detected. If there is any errors within your KQL code, it will illustrate them there in red. So we're good to go, and we can click on next. And now we can review the collection, make any last minute edits if we need to. And if we are happy, which I am, I can go ahead and click on submit, which I'm going to do there. Amazing. And our new collection is now created and will be added to a review set as a draft collection. Now, we've not created a review set yet. We will get to that as the next stage. So now we can click on done. And there we have our collection created. Our marketing investigation is progressing. We have our query text column there showing the KQL that we input. We've got our last runtime, estimated status. We can do a refresh to see the progress, and we can go to our jobs tab to see the progress, and we can see the status of in progress with that search name of marketing investigation in there and the duration there. So absolutely brilliant, very straightforward to keep tabs on that progress. So we can leave that for a while, and eventually if you click on refresh, we can see now we have a successful job there, and we can click on it and we can see exactly what has happened, the progress. We can copy the support information if we need to, and we are good to go. So if we go back to our collections, we can see that it is there and it now has a status of estimated. And the next step is we need to commit this to what we call a review set, which is ultimately what the collection will write to, and we will review to look at the information that we want to find and see if it is appropriate. If it is, then great, we can export, we can filter, we can annotate. If not, we can go and do another pass at this. If we click on this collection, we can get more details. We can see the summary of exactly what has taken place. We can see locations with hits, and we searched 6 locations and found 2 locations with hits, which is more or less what I expected because I was very granular with the search criteria here. I searched for something that I knew was going to exist in a tenant that doesn't really have an awful lot populated. If I click on data sources here, I can see the custodial data sources and the non-custodial data sources and how they were selected. I can see the search statistics, and we can see here that we have 5 items that were estimated by location, and these were all exchange items in 2 exchange locations, and we got the data volume by size there as well. And in that condition report, which we can download if we want to, we can get some further information there as well, and we can see the top locations that were impacted. As expected, it would be my mailbox and Rachel Green's mailbox. Under collection options, again, we can see, as we saw earlier, the locations that we selected and that can cause searches to take longer. We can even review a sample before we go ahead and proceed. There's no need to do that on this particular example because it's a very minimal set of results. Now, if we click on actions, we can now choose what we want to do with our collection. We can copy our collection if we want to duplicate it. We can export it as a report. We can refresh any estimates. We can delete it if we feel it's not appropriate. We can edit it if we want to make further changes. Or if we are happy with what we've done so far and we want to progress to that review set stage, we can go ahead and click on commit collection, which is what we're going to do now. Now, here in this flyout panel, I should say, we have 2 choices. We can add to a new review set, or we can add to an existing review set. Now, I can't click on existing review set here because there are no other review sets at the moment as relates to this particular case. As we scroll down, we can see some retrieval selections that we can make to identify additional items to be collected. We can look for teams and Yammer conversations to collect up to 12 hours of related conversations when a message matches a search. We can collect cloud attachments from SharePoint Online or OneDrive, all document versions, and partially indexed items as well. So there's a lot of things that we can do here. And we can collect ingestion scale by adding to a review set, or add only a sample. But we want to go ahead and add to our new review set. I'm happy that what I'm looking for will be in these mailboxes that the collection has discovered. So I'm going to put in a review set name. I'm going to call it Tier 1 Review Set. And in the event that that is not going to be appropriate, I'll click on commit there. But if it's not appropriate, I can go back and I can do another pass, another review set with additional settings from a copied collection or a new collection. So here we go. This collection is now adding to a brand new review set. And depending on your search criteria, this is going to take a bit of time depending on what you've put in. And again, on the Jobs tab, we can see that it is in progress, and we have a review set name populated now in the review set name column. If we click on review sets at this point, we can see it is present, but it is not yet available. You could actually click on that now and see it, but it would not be complete, so I would not advise doing so. If we go back into collections, we can keep on clicking refresh, and the same within jobs. We can keep tabs on this until it is ready for us to proceed further. And there we go. We've jumped forward a bit and clicked on refresh, and we can see that adding the items to our review set has completed. And it took about 10 minutes. We're 10 minutes later on, and we can click on that line and see what happened in that review set committal. We can see the progress, the data transfer, the ingestion processing, and again, we can copy support information if we need to do that, and paste that in elsewhere if we need that, but that doesn't happen a great deal. But there we go. And now our review set is created, and we can see that from the collection back in the collections tab. We can click on it right from there if we want to, or we can do the same by clicking on the review sets tab. We can see it in there, and we can click on the review set from this tab as well. It amounts to the same thing. So we open up our review set, and here we can see we have 7 items in here. We have some email results, and we have 2 document results there at the bottom as well. And we can click on each line to view the results that we have, and it will display that on the right hand panel. Now here we can see the source email that was sent from myself to myself in this case. This is an earlier one from a few days before. Now this is the one that we were specifically looking for Friday, April the 7th, the email from myself to Rachel Green. And we can see this here twice in the list, and that represents an email from me to Rachel, and also the result from Rachel's mailbox perspective. So we get that in there twice. So we could consider that a duplicate if you like. We can slide on the showed pin metadata radio button there to see the compound path relating to that result. We'll just slide that off again. We can look at the result in plain text as well and see it in that format. And here we have the annotation options. Now this is very powerful. You can do a lot here with annotations, and this is going to be useful to you if you need to do things like redactions and note-taking and that sort of thing. So here you can use the toolbar options to select text. So if you hit that and highlight some text, it's going to select that for you and keep that selected. Then we have the drop-down sort of annotations options here, where you can select colors and pencils, and area redaction options as well. So if you need to redact any text from these results before you export them and present them to whoever requested this information, you can redact that out as needed. You can also use this area to remove drawings on current pages or drawings within a document. So you can take that off again. Nice and simple. And we can toggle annotation transparency here as well. So if we go ahead and we put that annotation back on in the form of an area redaction again, let's redact that line of text or part of it. Once again, that's redacted out now. Now if we use that toggle feature, we can sort of get a transparent effect on that, if you like, which is quite useful. Absolutely fantastic. So this is great, but this is a very, very simple set of results, just to illustrate to you how easy it is to if you know what you're looking for and you know the custodians and you can be that granular, how quickly you can get to results. But you can imagine in a large environment, a large enterprise, where there are thousands of mailboxes and sites, this is going to get a bit more challenging. Now you will notice this view here is very, very, how can I describe it? Not grouped. I mean, you can actually group this by family attachments to put the attachments that we have with the email that they were a part of. So when we select that, as it refreshes here, you can see a shorter list now. We have only 5 results, but we have 2 of those with drop-down expansions. And if we expand those, we can now see that the Word document that was an attachment attached to those original emails from the sender's and the receiver's perspective, the attachment is grouped with the email, which is a very, very useful feature to have in terms of viewing your results. And you can do the same sort of thing with Yammer conversations as well. Absolutely brilliant, so powerful. And this is only the tip of the iceberg. We will look at this in more detail with a bit more of a complex set of search results. But, and as you can see, there are many options on this toolbar here. We'll not cover that, and we'll wind up this video now and we'll get into more detail on the next one. And that is it for this video, folks. Thank you so much. In the next video, we will take a look at the next steps of interpreting some of the results in our review set that we just committed in this video. Thank you so much for watching along as ever. I really appreciate your support. If you've enjoyed the content, please hit the like button and share it. And please do make sure that you're subscribed to the channel as well. Do also hit the notifications bell, ring that bell so you never miss a video when I publish one. Thank you so much indeed for your support, and I'll see you next time. Take care.